All right, Dave, it is Wednesday and we are back. Welcome, welcome.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Isn't it Thanksgiving month finally? We get to have turkey and football and all the fun things later this month.
Yeah, I've already had my Thanksgiving, but yes, it's Thanksgiving season. That means it's
Ah,
turkey all
you,
month long.
you just pile it on in hopes that by the time you get to the holiday, you can have another one that somebody will invite you over and you'll be able to start all over again, huh?
Yeah, I'm putting my invitation out there. So if anyone wants to invite me, yes, I will come to your Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay, well, we got invited already. We're going to go to our adopted daughter's biological family's Thanksgiving again
Oh,
this year.
how
We did it
cool.
last year, and just a great time for them to be able to see and interact with her and us to get to know them better.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Dave, with the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for in the retirement space?
I am thankful that we have an opportunity to share what we know, that we have an opportunity to have platforms that allow us to share the information that we have to get people into a better position. And I'm thankful for the people that taught me as I was growing up and learning about the things that we teach about. People are willing to take their time to help me better understand things that are so important to our future life.
And that's why we're here. And again, we want to welcome everyone that is joining us live and those on replay. We are here live on Facebook and YouTube. And we encourage you to submit your questions. And so you can come on this platform, either one of those two, and submit your questions. And we'll do our best to get those inserted between the other questions that we have here. And again, Dave, all the questions we have come from either people reaching out on social media. We have a website that they can submit their questions. They can come on through webinars. They come on through so many other platforms we have. And we try to put all those together and make them meaningful that we can go through and have a great discussion here for 30 minutes and talk about each of these different questions as they come through. And again, Dave, we cover so many different topics. It's not just Social Security, it's not just Medicare, but we dive into so many other areas.
Yeah, we do. We cover a lot of information, but it's all information that's important for us to know as we go into retirement.
And if you don't get your question on today, or if you're not comfortable yet and you want to read through it, always go to our website, retirementriskadvisors.com/questions, and you can submit your question there. But again, we encourage you to get those submitted here today with us live. All right, Dave, are you ready to get into some of these questions today?
Yes.
All right, let's hope my little mouse works here today. All right, our first one here is from Rosalia. Are Roth conversions worth doing if I'm close to 70? And I'm going to add this little thing as a side note. She is still working and planning to fully retire at 72. That's just a little addition for you.
Okay. Well, thank you for that additional information. And Rosalia, when we look at it, it's not about age at all. It's really about what you believe future tax rates to be. Age 70, you've got another, when we look at the fact you made it that long, average life expectancy now is about 88 for you. So you've got maybe another 18 years that you'd be alive. A lot of things can happen during that period of time. We expect taxes, we know they're going up January 1st, 2026. We expect them to go up substantially around 2030. So yes, could be a great opportunity to be able to make these transitions and these conversions. Now, all that being said, at this age, assumingly you're going on Social Security, may already be on Medicare, depending upon what benefits your employer is offering. All this needs to be looked at as you're making this transition. Make sure you're taking all this into effect over multiple years, so you're hopefully doing it as economically feasible as possible.
Dave, so if Rosalie is concerned, as you talk about, with the higher tax rates in the future, can she just pay those lower tax rates today and then never again? And therefore, does she even need the conversion? I guess is my question.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at it, that you definitely can get it off the table. Now, one of the things people often complain or worry about is that the government's somehow going to change their mind. And yes, the government does change their mind at times. But when we look at what's being done and the opportunities that we have, we see that they grandfather people in, that they allow those who paid the taxes in advance to not have to pay them later on. And they may not allow Roth in the future, but right now the government loves Roth. So there's no reason that anyone should believe that somehow they're changing. So if we can get the taxes off the table, now's a great time to do it.
Dave, what about partial conversions? I've read a lot about those and I wanted to get your opinion on those.
Yeah, for most people, this is what we recommend. I mean, very few people would we come in and say, take everything you have and roll it all over today. That's like betting on the lottery, I guess. I mean, hoping at that point that things are just going to work out, because most people who do that, that's what they're doing. They're just throwing all the money in there and saying, I heard taxes are going to go up, let me get rid of it. Well, that's not the way we want to do it. We want a strategy and a plan and a multi-year multi-year process so that we can do it piecemeal over time. So yes, we want those partial conversions going on for most people over, again, we see it 2 years probably for most people on the short end. We've had people go up to as many as 8 or 10 on the high end based upon where we projected their future income to be in tax rates.
And Dave, does the Roth IRAs have RMD limitations?
So Roth IRAs, there is no required minimum distribution. There's nothing, which is great about the product. That's one of the things that makes it such a better product than a regular IRA. In fact, if you look at most regular IRAs anymore, they're not a great place to have your money. Not only do you have the required minimum distributions throughout your lifetime, but when you transfer those assets over to your beneficiaries, it's a tax nightmare. And maybe a tax nightmare for you during your retirement years with Social Security taxation and everything else it brings. So, yeah, if we're looking at it, the Roth's what we really want for our retirement income. If we've got a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, now the 401k does have RMD requirements, the Roth, so be aware of that. But yeah, we want to keep moving this money out. We want to get out of these bad IRA traditional accounts.
So, Dave, let's talk about after death. Can the inherited Roth IRA can it be passed over to a spouse? And then maybe I want to ask about maybe a beneficiary or like another beneficiary, like a child or grandchild.
Yeah, they're going to be able to be passed over to the spouse. They're going to be able to get those benefits. Now, from a child's side, they're going to be able to get them, but understand they're not going to be able to just keep this thing as a Roth for the rest of their lifetime. That's not something the government's going to allow them to do. At some point, they're going to have to transition it into taxable income for them with that conversion. But and can you imagine being able, if you're giving your kids or your grandkids or whoever money, all of a sudden they get 100% of what you have, rather than saying, okay, yeah, I got 100 grand from grandpa, but I got to pay taxes of $30,000 because the tax was never paid on this. That's, as bad as it is, that's emotionally damaging to people. And I've seen it. I've seen people actually very upset that they inherited the money because of the tax bill. All they can see is that $30,000, forgetting that, hey, I got 70 grand over here that I'm able to keep and enjoy.
Yeah, Dave, that is so true. No matter what, no matter how many times you're giving them something great, they still see that as a negative on that piece. I definitely understand that.
And a lot of people don't understand it. So, I mean, you
Mhm.
can imagine all of a sudden you end up getting a distribution out of one of those. It's 100 grand. You got a mortgage you're trying to pay down. So you're thinking, hey, I'll just take the money. It was something I didn't have before. I'll pay it down. And then you go file your taxes with the 1099-R and find out that, oh, wait a second, I owe $30,000. That's where the real nightmares become for people. And we've seen that happen. They lock up all the money and then aren't able to get access to what they need to be able to pay the taxes when they come due.
All right, Dave, let's jump down to the next question here. This is from Julianne. Can I roll over my previous employer's 401k into an IRA?
Julianne, yes, you can. And you also may be able to roll over your current 401k. So there's no restrictions on previous 401ks. Current 401ks, as long as your plan allows for in service distributions, you'll also be able to roll it over at any time you choose to do so while you're still working.
And Dave, are there any tax consequences in making this change?
If you're just moving it over to a traditional IRA account, no. Now, our recommendation again is for people to get it into the Roth accounts if you're going to make those transitions. Actually, I was very interesting. I was on a presentation yesterday with Ed Slott. He was doing, he's the IRA guru. If you don't know who Ed Slott is, he's done PBS specials. He is the guru in the CPA industry on IRAs. He was just bad mouthing IRAs to no end, because of the way the laws have changed and what they're happening. I'm sitting there laughing, thinking, okay, this is a guy that's made his whole livelihood off of this product. And he's come to the realization because of recent changes in government laws, this is not where we want money to go when we're transferring it to our kids or our grandkids.
So, Dave, why would you roll over from a 401k to an IRA?
A number of reasons. For most people, there can be an emotional side that people are going, hey, I left that employer because I hated them. Last thing I want to do is have to deal with them on an annual basis because my 401k is still there. But for most people, what it is they want the freedom to be able to invest that money different than what the 401k is allowing them to do.
I love that. Now, how can we get started in this rollover?
Yeah, so it's paperwork. You've got to make sure you have an IRA account set up, and then you're basically asking, you're sending a letter to the 401k administrator to be able to get those funds and then have them rolled over. Now, I will tell you too, be very careful as you're looking at this towards the end of the year. We're setting in early November now, definitely not too late to do it, but don't think you can wait till December 30th and get these things done. Most of these brokerage houses cut everything off about 2 weeks before the end of the year. So just make sure you're looking at the timing. If you're trying to get some Roth conversions done, maybe, or even just converting into a regular IRA before year end.
That's a great point, Dave. So many people wait till the end to try to squeeze this in, but there's no hope for that.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately not. And again, I guess the brokerage houses know that, so they cut it off early, so they're just not, working 24/7 for the last few days trying to get stuff done.
Yes, I agree. Well, Dale is wondering, which type of annuity would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a very loaded question. I'll tell you, my answer is the one that's going to work best for you. If I've got to learn your information, your circumstances, what's going on. And when you look at it from our side, we work with 50 different insurance companies that offer these products. So we have a lot to choose from. So it would be based upon your facts and circumstances, what you're trying to accomplish with that annuity. Now, there are some basic things we do like. We do like the indexed annuities because of the principal protection nature of them. We also like to get these inside of Roth accounts. And there are companies that we like because they perform so well historically and do so well in the marketplace. But again, this is all based on what state do you live in? Are you putting the annuity in for growth, or are you putting it in for income? And many people don't realize many people use annuities for growth because they perform so well. What's your age? What's your income needs? Do you have a big, large pension plan with Social Security? Or do you have minimal Social Security and hoping to get some better fixed income in there? So all of that's going to come into play, and that just comes through education.
So, Dave, I just want to ask the very basic on this because we get a lot of questions on this a lot of times, especially I'm out meeting with people that are saying, what's an annuity? So I want to ask you, Dave, what is in an annuity and why is it something to take serious when you're looking maybe at building your retirement portfolio?
Yeah, so if I were to compare it to something that everyone would understand and make sense to, is you really can look at the income annuities like you would Social Security. So Social Security is a trust fund where you put a bunch of money in over your working years and your employer puts money in and it grows. And then you end up getting money out for the rest of your lifetime based upon what you put into Social Security. And there's been points, and your Social Security is going to be different than mine, than anyone listening to this program. We're all going to have different amounts based upon what went in and the number of years we worked and our income levels and all of those things. Well, the same thing really with annuity is this product that's allowing you to put a sum of money into, and then based upon the way the annuity is structured, you're going to get a stream of income coming out of that if it's an income annuity throughout the rest of your retirement. And there's annuities that will allow you to inflation adjust those. Again, annuities that will allow you to take your IRA and piecemeal it into a Roth over time. All kinds of fun, exciting tools out there, but it's really just a way to get additional income with your Social Security to last as long as you do.
And Dave, obviously there's a variety of annuities out there. And I wanted to see if you can maybe share some insights on the two stages of an annuity contract. So there's the accumulation stage, and then second, there's that distribution stage.
Yeah, absolutely. When we look at it from an accumulation side, this is when you're putting the money in. And it can be done in various ways. Now, almost every annuity out there that I know of, and I assume it's every annuity's got this, there's usually a minimum amount that you have, or a minimum amount you have to put in. So it may be 10,000, maybe 20,000, maybe less than that if you're doing monthly contributions, but many of them do have a limit of what you've got to put in initially. So that's going to be maybe over time. It may be a lump sum. We see a lot of people that are transitioning large dollars in at one given time. That's the accumulation phase from you getting the money in. Now, with that comes growth. Yeah, the longer you have the product, the more growth you're going to have. And then at some point, many people will turn on the distribution phase. But understand, you don't have to do this. Now, there are income products and growth products. So again, if you're not going to turn the income on, please don't own a income product, that because it's not going to work so well. If you want growth, don't buy an income product. They're structured differently. But then that distribution phase is going to be your period of time to be able to allow you to start pulling the money out. And for most people, CR, that's going to be a set monthly amount they're going to get. Now there are, your annuities are structured where you can pull out 10% per year without having an effect on the contract without having any penalties or consequences. So some people choose to, again, have a growth annuity where they're just pulling part of the money out each year as they need it, not turning it into an income stream.
Well, Dave, we go from annuities down to the next topic, which is always one that we talk about all the time, is Social Security. And this is from Emmett. Recently divorced. How can my client's ex-spouse pull from his Social Security benefits?
Okay, so let's talk about this. So there's all kinds of rules here, and unfortunately, I mean, I guess we could take the next 15 minutes. I don't want to, so we're not going to do that. But I can take the next 15 minutes talking about all the nuances here. But a couple of key things that you need to remember. Number one, the marriage had to have lasted for at least 10 years. Doesn't have to be consecutive. It had to last 10 years. If they have not started claiming their benefits, the ex-spouse, then you have to wait for 2 years after the divorce has happened to be able to claim those. And they also have to be at least age 62. Now, you've obviously got to be that age as well to be able to get those benefits. Now, assuming you've met those basic requirements, you would be able to take the information you have to the Social Security Administration and have them help you get signed up for those ex-spouse benefits, those from that previous spouse, assuming that their benefits were higher than your own, and assuming that there's some marriage requirements that if you've gotten remarried, that your new spouse's benefits are not higher. And so all these things you've got to look at, but it's really as simple as just making sure you understand the rules and then going into the administration helping you get signed up.
So, Dave, I just want to clarify is so even if you get remarried, your ex-spouse can receive benefits based on your record.
So yes. So if you get remarried, so understand on your side that there's really no impact. I mean, you can get remarried at any time, that ex-spouse. Now, if the ex-spouse gets remarried prior to age 60, they've got some issues there. They're not going to be able to get those benefits. 60 is a critical year when we look at survivor benefits, when we look at just living benefits for ex-spouses. You don't want to get married before that age 60, or you may, if you're looking for benefits, because you may end up missing out on those.
So you've got some people on here saying, I'm going to wait till I'm 62.
Yeah, and you've got, and again, as sad as it is, you don't want to push and make life decisions just upon taxes and government programs. But if you're looking at getting married at 59 and 11 months, or even 10 months, probably makes a lot of sense to be able to wait a couple of months to do that if there are some benefits available for you.
So, Dave, can that ex-spouse also continue to work while receiving those benefits?
They can, but understand if you're under full retirement age, you're going to have those reduced, just like you would your own regular benefits, because the work requirements that exist prior to full retirement age.
Dave, I know we talk a lot about this, and Social Security is a topic that I know you know very, very well. Do you get a lot of questions in the marriage and divorce side? Because it seems like it gets very complicated quickly.
We do get a lot of questions in there, and the funniest one of all that we get, and I'm sorry, guys or ladies, if you've divorced and you hate your spouse, I get it, but all those people that are out there saying, "How do I keep my ex-spouse from getting benefits off my work record?" Let it go. You know what? You're divorced. I don't care if they burned you. I don't care what they did. Just let it go, folks. You don't need to be sitting there from the grave trying to control what's happening to your ex-spouse. They're going to get benefits. It's okay. You know what? Let their lives happen. But we get that all the time. And I mean, the point now, unfortunately, I often just laugh and again, not very nice all the time, but it's like, you just got to let it go. It's not coming out of your pocket. It's not hurting you. Let them get what's there, and life's going to move on.
Yeah. Well, very well said, Dave. I know a lot of people hold on to a lot of different things in this area, but like you said, it's not coming out of your pocket. So if we can just kind of move along, makes life a little bit better.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, all those grudges you hold out there, folks, they're not helping you at all. Your life needs to just move on, take the stress out, realize that life's going to be filled with disappointments and people that don't always act up to what we'd like them to do. But that's part of life. That's part of growing and learning and becoming better people by moving on and being better ourselves to those whom we come in contact with.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dave, let's talk about something we don't talk about very much because we don't see it as often, but how will my pension income work with my 401k when I retire? This is from John.
Yeah, so from an income standpoint, not really going to have any impact on you beyond the fact that because of that pension, you're probably going to have your RMDs coming out of that 401k plan. They're going to end up being taxed because you've got all the pension income. You'll have your taxable Social Security, assuming you're going to have some provisional income. So what you're doing is just creating a higher tax bill on that 401k. But again, that's probably not the worst thing in the world to happen. Now, would I like to see that 401k restructured and let's get into a Roth and get it off the table before all these other forms of income start coming in? Yes, but again, if you've got a pension plan, which only about 13% of America currently does, that's a pretty good blessing to be able to have that guaranteed income coming in throughout your retirement.
So, Dave, we know that both of these are both employer-sponsored retirement plans, but how do these plans differ, I guess?
Yeah, so usually, pensions, well, number one, are very few and far between. When we look at, there's not many pensions that exist out there. As I mentioned, about 13%. All changed back in the 1970s. For those who aren't familiar with the history, 1974, the IRA comes about, 1978, the 401k, and we transitioned from an employer-funded retirement to an employee-funded retirement. And this was all intentional. This didn't just happen by happenstance. It was something the government wanted to happen and employers wanted to happen. Problem is, they then didn't really educate us appropriately with what should be going on. So yes, some governments, some other organizations kept these pension plans where, hey, I put money in, or they put money in for you every year, and then when you retire, you got a set amount that's going to come out. 401k is very volatile. It's very, they may match. Most employers do now, some don't. They're going to provide a match to help encourage you, but there's many employers that don't even have either of these. So, we've got a real problem in retirement right now, and it's something that they've passed a lot of bills through the House. We'll see now with these recent elections what happens if the Senate does anything before year end. But what we really need to do is get products that we can invest in and that force us to invest more, so when we get to retirement, we can be better off.
And Dave, as you talked about, pensions, they're pretty rare now with about 13%. I guess essentially they're being replaced by the 401ks. And so, like you said, that shift has been placed now on the burden of the employee. And that also means risk, the savings, investing all around the employees. But I think I don't know if we've done a great job or a crappy job with that.
Yeah, we've done a horrible job in tons of ways. I mean, in one of my webinars, I talked pretty extensively about this. But we've got an issue that, number one, half of America isn't contributing at all. So you've got half America that's just thinking or not understanding, not having the money, whatever the case may be. So you got half America that's not doing it. Other half that is contributing, but most of them have no idea, how much do I even need? What should I be contributing? What should I invest in? Many of us are finding, and what we find when we work with people, that, yeah, they may put a bunch of money in, but if you're not investing in the right thing, you've lost a ton of money. Or if there's proprietary or predatory fees where people are charging you more than they should. So it's just a bad system. I don't understand. This is something that obviously, as a financial guy, has driven me crazy for years. Why we as a country do not put more emphasis on the basic things we have to do. Financial literacy. Why is that not being required in every school? Investing to a certain level. I realize it's not what people want to do for a living, but we all have to invest if we want to have a safe and secure retirement. So there ought to be basic things there. And I think a little more government structure. I'm not a big fan of having government involved in a lot of what we do, but when it comes to retirement, it's such a critical part of our lives, and one that if you screw up, there's really not a catch. There's really not a way to say, hey, if I blow it, I don't have any money, and I'm 70 and can't work, there's not a lot of good options to get out of that. So the more we could do as a country to help people, but it's just not happening. It's not on anyone's radar enough to really push people to do it.
Yeah, Dave, I totally agree. And we're going to continue to move along here a little bit because I want to get to my next one here from Alexis. What is the difference between a self-directed 401k and a self-directed IRA?
Okay, well, I'm hoping this is not my daughter that's sneaking this in. You see, Alexis, that's my daughter that's 100% deaf and legally blind. So, gorgeous girl, but not going to be a CPA, I don't think, unfortunately. But when we look at these, it's really coming down to the same difference between a 401k and an IRA. So take the self-directed out. There's really no difference, excluding the same standard differences you'd have with the 401k and IRA. 401k is employer-based. 401k is going to allow you to have higher contributions. 401k may have more limits inside of there of what you can and can't do. Self-directed or an IRA, you got lower limits. You can do pretty much invest in regular IRA into whatever you want in the market. But understand, for those who are don't understand the self-directed, that's where it's allowing you to hook up with a custodian. And I guess another big thing with the 401k, you can be your own custodian, whereas a IRA, you've got to get a third-party trust company or bank involved. But that those are going to allow you to invest in non-traditional assets, real estate, Bitcoin, if you're willing to take that ride, or a cryptocurrency of any flavor, gold, silver, bullion, all these various things that most traditional IRA and 401k accounts are not going to allow you to invest in.
So, Dave, with this one, that self-directed retirement account really allows you, or allows investors, to customize their holdings. So let's talk about maybe the benefits of that self-directed account, and maybe let's talk about what the downside is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tough one for me because for the right people, it works extremely well. I've got clients who have used it very successfully. They've made a lot of money inside of there because generally they know what they're doing. This is an area that it's not that I came to UCR and said, hey, I really think you need to do a self-directed IRA. It's almost the other way around. It's like, hey, I'm really good at investing in real estate, or I'm really good at doing investing in these other things that I can't do, maybe businesses that you want to set inside of there that I can't do outside in my regular IRA. I would like to get this set up. So as we look at the big downfalls, though, are I see people when someone brings it to them, 70, 80% of them end up losing all that money, because they're getting into something they don't know. Again, the guy selling it, hey, I see a huge pool of retirement money that I can get you to invest, that I can make money off, that I can, help you do this. And then you get stuck with the bad deal that's losing you tons of money. And all of a sudden your retirement's now gone.
And so that could be crypto, for example, is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you look at that. I mean, it's down what, 2/3, maybe more than that. I think it was 18 the other day. Not sure what it is now, but it's over 60. So again, this is the hardest thing because you are getting into non-traditional assets. They're very risky, most of them. And again, if you understand it, if it's real estate and it's something you've done your whole career and you understand it, sure, please go do it. Excuse me, but I even had one of my clients who is an expert in real estate, makes a ton of money. What did he use his self-directed for? To put it into I don't want to use the name, so I'm sorry, I'm hesitating here, into a youth playground area that got collapsed during the pandemic. He lost all of his retirement assets to that. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you put it in real estate? You've done well for 40 years. Now all of a sudden you're going to take something you're not even familiar with, don't know what to do, put a big SBA loan on it, and then you end up having the thing just disappear because you can't get anybody inside of it.
Well, Dave, we talk a lot about managing risk here, especially as retirement risk advisors, but what about managing their risk exposure? Because they could be taking on too much, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think this is one of the big problems. We're actually putting a new webinar together that will be released sometime at the first of the year that's talking about this, that many times what we think is diversified, even portfolios, are not diversified portfolios. And we see this especially in these self-directed accounts. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to get a self-directed account and put $5,000 in it. And anyone that sells these knows that. What it makes sense for most people is you got to have 6 figures or more to really make them work. So you're right, CR. What often happens is we move so much money into there, the diversity is now gone. And then if we don't manage it well, all of a sudden our retirement assets are not where they should be.
Well, Dave, we are almost out of time. I do want to pop this open on here because, as always, it's Wednesday. We've got this fabulous Getting Safely Through webinar that's going to be today starting at 3 p.m. Central Time and goes till 5 o'clock today.
It does. And I'm very excited about it. I'm going to throw something out here that if you're on here and coming to that webinar, we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm meeting with people and it's great. It's been a great experience for them. It's a great experience for me. I mean, for them to be able to have time to pick my brain with all the things that we go through and talk about. But CR, we're booked until clear into December. Nobody could even get on our calendar. And so I'm going to encourage those who come or want to get on that calendar to do so as quickly as they can. And I'm sorry, we want to meet with you. We're looking at opening other dates and slots to be able to get you in because it's been very things people want. And that's great. I love to be able to share my knowledge with those who are trying to make a change in their retirement.
Yeah, Dave, it's hard because we get just a quick 30-minute slot here, and then you're back out meeting with different folks again, and that makes it a challenge. But you're right, there's that little small window, but everybody wants to come on and pick your brain and find out more information because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to retire and try to do this and make sure that longevity is not, the biggest issue we're facing right now.
Absolutely, and to figure out how we solve the risks. We've got so many of them going on, and again, it's a great time for CPAs that we work with primarily because tax season's now over. Haven't hit the initial crunch at the beginning of the year, so from here till the end of the year, I mean, we're going to keep going, meeting with people through the holidays. We're going to be here trying to help people solve their problems.
And if you did not get your question or you're on replay and you're thinking to yourself, "Ah, I should have sent a question in," please go to our website, retirementriskadvisors.com/questions. You can put that in there and we'll work our magic to see if we can get on next week's show or the week after and do our best there. And again, as always, you can find everything about these webinars and everything else we do at retirementriskadvisors.com. And in fact, you can go to /events and you can get directly linked to that webinar for today. And you can find that today, or even if not, we have next Wednesday. But like Dave said, the further out you go, if you want to get an appointment, that week could be, Dave, I'm thinking if they say, I'm going to wait till next week, by the time they get on your calendar, it could be January.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. Yeah, we're trying to figure all that out, but again, we'll get through it. We'll figure it out. But yeah, it's taking a while.
Yeah. Well, Dave, again, I really appreciate your time coming on the show, and I want to thank all those who have been with us today. And I hope that you were able to get a little bit more education and make sure you take action. This is the best part about the show is you leave with some actionable items and you go and you talk to your spouse and you start doing it. So I really appreciate that time, Dave, that you've given us.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll see you guys again next week, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central, and we'll see you then.